duration, or impact on price for an increase in rate, that would be up duration. And when you have embedded option, and when the option is near the money, the price impact is asymmetrical. And that is why we need to understand those down duration and up duration. Qualitative questions in this context. So key rate duration. Now, key rate duration is what you are trying to do is the price impact of changing one par rate. And it is very important to understand. We are not talking about spot rate. We are talking about par rate. And we are also making an assumption here that we are keeping everything else the same. So if I'm changing the 10-year par rate, I am forcing that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, 8 year, 9 year, 11 year, 12 year, and so forth. All those par rates are static, constant.
Yeah. This is very important. You're shocking the par rate. We're in March. Is that test one? First start, 10 out of 10. Now hoping for 3 out of 10. When is test one?
And for that to occur, given the fact that the par rate is simply what? Par rate is yield. And remember, yield is weighted average of underlying spot rate. So it leads to weird findings. Why? Because if you are tweaking weighted average of underlying spot rate, spot rates are static, constant. And for that to occur, given the fact that the par rate is simply what? Talking about spot rate, we're talking about par rate. And we are also making an assumption here that we are keeping everything else the same. So if I'm changing the 10-year par rate, I am forcing that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, 8 year, 9 year, 11 year, 12 year, and so forth. All those par rates are static, constant. And for that to occur, given the fact that the par rate is simply what? Par rate is yield. And remember, yield is weighted average of underlying spot rate. So it leads to weird findings. Why? Because if you are tweaking a 10-year par rate, you can only, basically you're increasing the 10-year spot rate. If you increase the 10-year spot rate, my par rate from years 1 through 9 will not be affected. However, my par rate in year 11, 12, 13, and so forth will all be affected if I change one spot rate, because that goes into their calculation. And so for keeping the par rate constant, they have to shock the corresponding spot rate. So 11th year spot rate will have to be shocked in opposite direction to keep that par rate constant. That leads to this weird negative par rates. duration, negative key rate duration, for low coupon bonds or zero coupon bonds. Negative means the price yield relationship is positive. So if you increase the early spot rate prior to maturity of the bond, then if you increase those, par rate, then the price impact is higher. The price would go up. Why? Because I'm trying to keep the rest of the par rate static or constant. All right. So calculation is not something that you're going to worry about it. Recognized key rate duration is captured in shaping risk. And some key important takeaways that you need to recognize. Already talked about negative key rate duration possible for bonds with low or zero coupon rate. The second takeaway is for a straight bond, an option-free bond, the maturity match rate is the most important par rate. So it will have the highest value. You may have other par rate values, but the maturity match par rate is the highest. And remember, the sum of key rate duration is nothing other than the effective duration, which is, again, we said effective duration will be less than the maturity of the bond anyways. All right. Now, if the bond is trading at par, then the only key rate duration that will be positive will be the one corresponding to its maturity, if it is trading at par, because that key rate will capture all the changes for the spot rate curve under one metric. Remember, it is a yield metric, not spot rate metric. So it is a weighted average of individual spot rate. And when the bond is trading at par, if you change that rate, then only the bond value will change. If you change something else, it won't be affected. Because if you change something else, for example, the bond is a 10-year bond, you change a 5-year bond, 5-year par rate, well, trying to keep the 10-year par rate the same as before, you will not see any change in value of this par bond. It will remain at par. A callable bond will have, when the option is deep out of the money, meaning rates are high, or coupon rate is low, then the highest key rate duration will be corresponding to their maturity. It behaves essentially like a straight bond. The option is deep out of the money probability
unlikely to be converted.
Close to zero. So then it basically behaves just like a straight bond, and just like for straight bond, the key rate duration corresponding to its maturity is the most important. If similarly, puttable bond, same thing. If it is deep out of the money, it will behave just like a straight bond. It will have key rate duration. The highest key rate duration corresponding to the maturity. Now, as the option, either one, call option or put option, as it moves into money or gets near money, and in that case, the most important key rate duration becomes the rate corresponding to the option exercise date. So the end of the protection period, that will have the highest key rate, because we are now increasing the probability that the life of the bond will be short and its duration will be shorter. Now, the price yield relationship, we said it's a curve, and for a straight bond, even with a straight bond, if you look at up and down duration, you will not see symmetrical impact because it is not a straight line. So that is why we use convexity to improve our estimated price change. Even for a straight bond, for a callable bond or a puttable bond, that one-sided durations are even more asymmetrical. So the negative convexity that comes into play around the call price
So as yields increase, the price decrease.
reflects the changes that we see. So this is called negative convexity for a callable bond. Okay. And the duration also decreases as compared to a straight bond because again, the bond will be most likely called and therefore reducing its life. So a puttable bond will exhibit positive convexity throughout. It will have a floor around the put price, and so again you see the asymmetry in price behavior on account of changes in rate, and that is where we are using this one-sided durations. So puttable bond has greater convexity, and as the option gets closer and closer near the money, its duration decreases.
Week's time, next Monday. Ish. So only 3 tarts and then test 1. I'm not setting a retail. That sounds like something Melusi would say. Hello, which topic are you solving? Effective convexity, fixed income topic.
Because its life decreases. So convexity is positive for straight and puttable bond and negative for callable bond. And now let's look at some examples. So
Hold on, man. Hold on.
puttable bond and negative for callable bond. And now let's look at some examples. So we saw this data in our previous module, and again, delta y is 30 basis point. This bond X is callable, bond Y is puttable. Just like before, you're given the price, you're given the coupon rate. One additional important thing to pay attention to in this context is the bond is callable 1 year from today. So the excess time to exercise is 1 year for a callable bond. Similarly, time to exercise for a puttable bond, for this puttable bond, is 1 year from today. Maturity is 3 years. All right. So the first question is, when the option embedded in bond Y is
Puttable.
in the money. So
Bond Y is puttable. Then the one-sided durations most likely show that the bond is more sensitive to a decrease in interest rate, increase in price. More sensitive to an increase in interest rate, decrease in price. It's A.
Bond Y is equivalent bond. The option is in the money. The one-sided duration most likely to show that the bond is more sensitive to a decrease in rates or increase in rate. Bond Y again is a puttable bond, and puttable bond, the price change on account of increase in rate when the option is in the money. Remember, the slope or the curvature is not as deep as a straight bond. Why? Because of the floor that the put price gives. So it will be more sensitive to a decrease. Upside is great for a puttable bond. The downside is protected. So choice B is incorrect. Obviously, choice C is incorrect. So price of bond X.
So X is the callable bond. The price of bond X is affected only by shifting the 1-year par rate. So bond X is callable in 1 year but has a term of 3 years, only by shifting the 3-year par rate. By all par rate shifts, but is more sensitive to shifts in the 1 year and the 3-year par rates. Yes, C.
Bond X is the callable bond, and now we are looking at T rate duration, and what are the rates that it will be sensitive to? Remember, it is sensitive to its maturity when the option is deep out of the money. It is sensitive to its call date when the option is not deep out of the money, but it will be sensitive to all par rates, but it is most sensitive to shift in 1 year and 3 year par rates. 1 year represents the time to exercise for bond X, and 3 years is the maturity of bond X. So
the effective convexity of bond X, which is the callable bond, cannot be negative. Turns negative when the embedded option is near the money. Turns negative when the embedded option moves out of the money. It's B because bond X is a callable bond, and callable bonds are the convexity turns negative when the option is near the money, which means that when yields go up, the price also goes up because it's limited because of the call option. But it also means that when yields come down, your upside is limited when yields come down in terms of how much the bond can go up. Yeah. B.
Again, we are coming back to bond X, or staying on bond X, which is a callable bond. The effective convexity of bond X, callable bond, effective convexity can be negative, and it turns negative when the embedded option is near the money. When the option moves out of money, meaning when the rates are rising, at that time the convexity starts becoming positive again. Which of the following statement is most accurate?
Bond Y exhibits negative convexity? No, because bond Y is the puttable bond. Puttable bonds always have positive convexity. B, for a given decline in interest rate, bond X has less upside potential than bond Y. Yes, because bond X is the callable bond and it's limited by the call price. C, the underlying option-free or straight bond corresponding to bond Y exhibits negative convexity. No, option-free or straight bonds always have positive convexity, so it's B.
Choice A says bond Y exhibits negative convexity. Bond Y is puttable. That would be wrong. Puttable bond always shows positive convexity throughout. Choice B says for a given decline in rate, bond X has less upside potential than bond Y. And that would be correct. Remember, decline in rate meaning down duration, and bond X will have lower down duration than bond Y. Bond Y is puttable, bond X is callable. And the last one is underlying option-free bond exhibits less convexity, exhibits negative convexity, so obviously that is wrong. Straight bond does not exhibit negative convexity. All right, so that is examples on key rate duration. Wonderful stuff. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I like it when he says that. Okay, now we've got capped and floored floaters. Then we've got convertible bonds, and then we're done with 25. My cousin is not picking up my phone. Kenik. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Nothing humbles you more than family. It doesn't matter if you're the president of a country. Your cousin still won't pick up your phone if he doesn't want to. Truly humbling. Humbling. He says he won the lotto. Such a liar. Huh. Okay, I'm feeling a bit tired. Let's see.
Okay, friends, and now welcome to talk about capped and floored floaters. And floater here is a floating rate bond which pays a variable coupon depending on the benchmark rate on which the coupon is based. So there are embedded options in floaters, and the two embedded options we're going to talk about is a cap and a floor. And we'll explain what it means. So one LOS only, basically calculating the value. It is standard backward induction process. We will evaluate if the embedded option is in the money, in which case we're going to exercise that option whenever under whichever node it is in the money. All right, so let's first understand what are the mechanics of a floater. So floaters will pay a coupon based on a reference rate. Used to be LIBOR was most common in the US, and it is typically paid in arrears, and it simply means that the coupon is revealed at the beginning of the period. The rate, interest rate is revealed at the beginning of the period, but paid at the end of the period. So the first coupon is revealed at time 0 when the floater is issued, and that rate at time 0 will determine the first coupon. And that is a standard default case scenario. You're going to see that in derivatives as well. You're going to see it in interest rate swaps as well. Now, when you embed there are two kinds of options that can be embedded in a floater. Now, because, first of all, because the interest is typically paid in arrears, the value of the floater at issuance will always be par. Why? Because the coupon rate is equal to the discount rate. And coupon rate is not fixed. It varies exactly with the discount rate. So not only at inception, but at each coupon payment date, the value will reset to par for a plain vanilla floater. Now, there are two kinds of options that can be embedded in a floater. A cap floater is where the investor is short the cap. Cap is an option that is embedded in the floater, which allows the issuer to specify the maximum interest that they're going to pay. So even if interest rate goes above the cap rate, the coupon is capped at that rate, at the cap. So it limits the cost for the issuer, the company that issues the floater. If a floater, on the other hand, is providing protection to the investor. So if the rates fall below the floor, they get the minimum rate, minimum coupon, and that is the floor. So a cap is basically a call option, but not on the bond, but rather on interest rate. It is a series of call option on interest rate. We'll talk more about call options on interest rate in the derivatives topic area. And a floor is a series of put option on interest rate. And the investor is short the cap and long the floor. So value of a cap floater will be reduced by the value of the embedded cap. Why? Because the investor is short the cap, just like a callable bond, same principle. And similarly, floater, the value is equal to the straight plus the value of the embedded floor, because that
Discount
investor is
premium.
long the floor option, and so they are willing to pay higher for having that floor in place, that protection in place. And we are going to just use basic backward induction rules to basically value. Again, we are just going to adjust the coupon based on if the option, whether it be a cap or a floor, is in the money. We'll look at an example. All right, so here is an example from the curriculum, and you are given a 3-year floater. So
Oh, we've got a cap, okay. Okay. Cap 5%. So sure. Okay, 100 plus $5. Yeah, nothing else changes. So D1 will be 105, 1 plus 3,8695. P1 below. Okay, try V1. When will V2, I guess.
The first coupon is going to be paid at the end of 1 year, and that will be 2.5%. Now, 1 year rate 1 year from now is not known, and that is why there are two possibilities here. In our binomial rate, so the rates can be 3.8695 or 3.1681. That will determine the coupon for year 2. The two possible coupon payments in year 2. And then finally, the rates revealed at the end of year 2 will determine the coupon, the cash flows or coupon for payable in year 3. Now this bond has a par value of 100, and the cap is 5.6%. Let me clean everything up. 5.6% is my cap. Anytime the rate goes above 5.6, this floater is going to limit the coupon payment to 5.6%. And when I look at my binomial interest rate tree, I don't see any rate above 5.6%. So basically, I'm never going to exercise this option. And if I'm never going to exercise this option, then it is nothing other than a straight floating rate. Bond, which means it should be trading at par for $100. We verified mathematically. So here's the interest rate tree. with all the notes listed properly. So, and the coupon in year 3 will be based on the rates revealed in year 2. So we're just gonna fill in our boxes. So the top note of the coupon is 5.5258%. Remember, our cap is 5.6. This is not more than 5.6, so we still get the coupon of 5.528. If I discount it at 5.528, I will get exactly is what we were talking about when I said the date or settlement date. So behaving just like a straight floater because the option is never exercised. The backward induction, average of 100 is still 100, and coupon will give you $0.8695. The two is still 103. So just filling A when the bucket 1, and again, if average of 1, the power of 8, basic calculation without actually having to if you recognize it, you don't have to. Go through any calculation, you knew the value should be exactly 100. Now the example is it's a puttable bond, it's embedded. So the only end is in year one, and that X 48 cents, we can do the backward induction. And once again, I can quickly fill in the $100 because the floor is not exercised at any point in time in year two, and it will be exercised in year one because the coupon payable is $3, not $2.50. Then gives you $100.49. So that 49 cents extra value is attributable because the the floor option is generating higher cash flow in period one. So that is the valuation of capped and floored floaters.
Okay, we're gonna do a quick quiz and then we're gonna pause and eat, and we'll be back at 8. All right, let's do. Then I'm gonna eat. And I'll be back at 8 for convertible bonds, and then we can start on the credit risk. But yeah, made good progress. I just got 50%. Got for a quiz. Horrible things are happening. Bad things are happening in South Africa. Horrible things are happening in South Africa. But I made good progress. So at least I've got that. I'm gonna start with, what is this, convertible bonds when I come back at 8. All of the women in me are tired. I'm on 23%. I think I've done well this week. Not as well as I wanted to, but I think I still did quite well. Okay. I'll be back at 8.